The James Show Podcast.
Some think it grows government not enough. Some think it grows government, and that's okay. I'm one of the few people, I think I'm in the minority here, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't like it because it grows government. And I'm tired of never getting the government to shrink, just even by a penny. I'm tired of being told, well, we'll just do this time, and then we'll take care of the cuts in the future. Well, we just got to do this now, and then we'll cut in the future. And I'm not even upset at Democrats today. You guys want bigger government. You guys win every time. Y'all have no reason to be upset. They're having a big protest tomorrow in downtown Dallas at City Hall over the big, beautiful bill. Why? You get you people who love big government, you never lose. You never have to compromise. I have to compromise. But let me give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about here. We have a guy telling me that, well, we have to do this because it's better than passing nothing. See, I don't buy that. I don't understand. I don't understand this mindset. Well, if it's your first day, if you just came out of high school and you're 18 or maybe came out of college, it's the first time you're really aware of what's going on, and people tell you, no, we just got to do this today, and in the future, we'll take care of the actual cuts. They're coming up, though. Don't you worry. I don't understand how anyone falls that for a second time, much less for 30 years. So I've been an adult for 30 years. I'm 48. And every time I pay attention to this, I get told the same thing. Here it is. This text rep that tweeted me this. I agree with you in principle on needing more cuts, but I guess I also understand passing what we have the votes for instead of not passing anything at all. And having the Trump tax cuts expire. I absolutely understand your frustration, though. How come is it in my entire life, in your entire life, in all of our entire lives, we've never had the other side say, well, we've just got to pass what we have the votes for. I guess we're going to have to cut government because it's better, this plan to cut government, it's better to pass this than nothing at all. How come they never have to say that? How come the people that want to grow government never have to compromise? And I do every time. It's not a compromise if I lose every time. It's not a compromise if the big government people win every time. The powers that want to grow government, if they win every time, how about you ask them to compromise? How am I the only one that sees it like this? And I find this super frustrating, being my head on the table, because 49 out of 50 Republicans in the Senate voted for this. There's only one guy that actually wants to cut government. There's only two guys in the House that actually want to cut government. Don't ask me to vote for Republicans again. Democrats, you're way off the rocker. Party of slavery and Trail of Tears and segregation and Jim Crow. I'll never vote for you. And Republicans, the only saving grace you had is that you're not Democrats. But if you're going to be 80% Democrat, and what, you're Democrats that close the border? That's not enough anymore. I'm tired of getting a 25% pay cut. You got a 25% pay cut in the last 5 years. We're going to get another one in the next 5 years. We're going to get a 50% pay cut over the 2020s. And that's what you get for, we'll just do it next time. No, this kicks me in the teeth. This makes it harder for me to pay for my kids. I got 4 kids. I can't send them to college as it is. And everyone just made it harder. I'm like, James, shut up. We just have to pass what we can instead of just not passing anything at all. Shut down the damn government then. Try that. It'd be better than this, I promise. Joe, Grapevine, you're on WBAP.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
I've been better, Joe.
Listen, I know. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm going to have to say that I don't agree with the timing. And I wish you would just give it a little bit more time. It's something that Secretary Kennedy said when he was accepting.
Hang on. Do you not realize how that sounds to me? People have been saying that to me for 30 years as an adult, for 23 years on the radio. Well, this isn't the right time to do it. When is the right time to do it? It hadn't been the right time to do it my entire life. Is that coming up in the next 5 months? Because I remember people telling me this in January. Remember when we had the debt ceiling or the continuing resolution? And they were like, no, we're just going to continue Biden's spending limits and raise the debt ceiling because the timing's not right. Well, the timing's still not right 6 months later. When will the timing be right?
Did we have President Trump as president during these 30 years you're talking about? We did not.
Actually, we already had 4 years of him. Yes. And look here, yes, I'm glad you brought this up. Hang on, I'm just going to pot you down for a second. I don't want to be rude, but I pulled this, and just in case I got a call like this, Donald Trump back in 2018 passed one of these. There was a government shutdown and there was an emergency, and we actually had it shut down, and we couldn't go to like national parks or whatever. This is him in 2018. saying, because he wanted a balanced budget and they brought him some trash like they brought him this time. And he said, all right, I'll sign it this one time, but I'm never doing it again.
There are a lot of things that I'm unhappy about in this bill. There are a lot of things that we shouldn't have had in this bill, but we were, in a sense, forced. If we want to build our military, we were forced to have. There are some things that we should have in the bill. But I say to Congress, I will never sign another bill like this again. I'm not going to do it again.
And he's going to do it again tomorrow. And I'm tired of being told that we just got to do it this time and we'll get to the cuts later. Are you still with me, Joe?
Sure. I'm letting you talk.
Oh, okay. I feel bad because I don't want to beat you up. You're sort of the avatar for the people who have told me this for the last 30 years. And so I don't want to just dump on you. I'm just trying to explain where I come from.
Well, let me see if I can tell you where I'm coming from.
Okay.
We voted for President Trump. Trump learned from his first 4 years, and he has a whole different team, a very talented. I've heard that from so many different people. He has a very experienced team. He learned from that. There are things that he knows as far as national security, border security, the economy, how our ammunition and our arms have been depleted, our money situation, our economy. He knows all of that, much more, even to a national security level that can't be discussed with us. A lot of this has to do with border security. We already know the direction that the Democrats wanted to go with the economy, but there's a difference here this time.
What's the
Trump
difference?
Has been the kind of president that he's made a lot of promises, and he hit the road immediately. Executive order after executive orders, even though he's had people object to him. I remember Secretary Kennedy said when he was being accepted. He said, a lot of people said, don't trust Trump. Oh, you better get it in writing. And he said, I want you to know, everybody, that with just his word and a handshake, he said he's done what he said he's going to do. And I don't know if you heard the last 30 minutes.
Bro, he said he was going to cut government, and it's not cut. It's getting bigger.
No, James. Did you hear the last 30 minutes of Vince Scolinet's show?
I did not.
I'm not sure who he... Okay.
Listen, I'm out of time. Can you do it in like one sentence?
He said that there was the president talked to them. The president can make cuts, and that's what changed their mind because he has been a man of his word, and I believe that he is going to do that, and I'm going to trust him, okay? And he has stood up and stood by so many things he has said. That's what changed those men's mind. They were in the same line you were, James, but they believed what he said. He still has the power to make cuts. Let him do it.
That's what people told me the first term of Trump. That's what people told me during George W. That's what I've been told my entire life. No, I trust him. It's going to happen, James. Here in just a few months, you don't know what's going on. There's super secret things that we couldn't all possibly know, but we're going to get cuts in the future. That doesn't work for 30 years. My next guest, Jim Varney from Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Investigation, has a story that's right up the alley on profligate spending and just how ridiculous D.C. has gotten. Well, first off, welcome back to the show, Jim.
Yeah, thanks for having me, James. I'm sorry I misunderstood the Zoom thing now.
No, it's
a radio show.
You don't have to explain that. So your latest investigation caught my eye because the numbers were so huge. Now, there's one office in the Biden administration that went nuts between Election Day and Inauguration Day. They knew that they had this little lame duck couple of months where they weren't going to be in power anymore, but they still had the strings of power. However, you zoomed in on the last 2 days and tell the people listening how bad the last 2 business days of the Biden administration were for the taxpayers.
Okay, so in the Department of Energy's Loan Program Office, the LPO they call it, in the last 2 working days of the Biden administration, so this is the Thursday and Friday of the week before Trump gets inaugurated, they approved $45 billion.
In 2 days, they spent that's like $22 billion a day in air quotes loan programs. And we know a lot of times that these things don't end up having to be paid back. The companies will go out of business or declare bankruptcy, or they'll get waived or wiped out in some future spending bill. So yeah, that's kind of nuts. What do they usually spend this program? What's their normal spending like if they did $45 billion in 2 days?
Right, and remember that the $45 billion, the last 48-hour blowout, that was on top of what the other work they'd done since after the election, which totaled $93 billion. So if you remember last October, I wrote a story about how the EPA had spent $27 billion and they'd given it to these kind of sketchy nonprofits that didn't have any assets and some politically connected people on their boards. This is more than 3 times that. And it represents more than 10 years worth of what the LPO had put out previously. So the LPO is like this sort of quiet office traditionally, right? It was founded to sort of help nuclear projects. And it's just kind of been this backwater. And what really made it flush was the Inflation Reduction Act, which really was a climate bill, as they even admit that now. And that just pumped, scores of billions of dollars into the EPA and the DOE and all these things trying to achieve the green energy revolution.
See, that's how you can tell Varney went to the Ivy League. He uses words like scores. It was scores of billions of dollars, not tens of billions. Thank you, Abraham Lincoln. We're talking with James Varney from Real Clear Politics, and his latest article on Real Clear Investigations has a bunch of people asking, well, they're going to get away with it, right? No one's going to go to jail for this. You can steal from the American taxpayer.
Well, I think you're probably right that no one's going to go to jail for this. Now, we should say that not all of this money has gone out the door. If you remember, one of the things that the EPA did was they took $20 billion and put it with Citibank. So take it out of Treasury's control and really handcuff the incoming administration. That was what the guy was saying was throwing gold bars off the Titanic, if you remember that.
Yep.
So this is an even bigger thing, but at least all the money hasn't gone out the door. So what they're doing now in DOE is trying to go through these things step by step. Unfortunately, a sort of subtle change in the Federal Register took away some of the protections that the taxpayers would normally have in the loans. And so these things were carved out really on favorable terms to the recipients in many cases. So the money that has gone is probably gone. Whether or not they're going to be able to deep six what's left, that sort of is still an open question.
That seems so wild that anybody can spend that much money, because this is about the same amount of money that Elon used to buy Twitter. And I remember being told that, well, instead of spending that money on a stupid platform, he could solve world hunger. Sounds like we could have solved world hunger twice with the Department of Energy spending just since the election to inauguration day. No concern there.
Yeah, I haven't done the math on that. I don't know what it would break down to if you just wrote checks for every American. But I mean, this is just an example of what the government's been doing for a long time, right? And to your point on that, P.J. O'Rourke said, 40 years ago, that if you just tallied up all the money that the federal government is spending on pass-through programs and divided it by the number of poor people in the United States or those that live under the poverty line, you could just write checks to everybody, no poverty in the United States. Now, you wouldn't have much government either, but that gives you some idea of how much they're spending.
All right. The other thing I like about your article here on realclearinvestigations.com, Jim Varney, is you go through this list of people that have gotten this money in the past and they're already out of business. Man, what a scam that is.
Right. You remember the Solandra. I'm sure you remember that in the Obama administration. I think that was around $540 million. Well, here, one of them was $3 billion to a company called Sonova, which is a solar energy company. And since they got the money in mid-January, they have filed for bankruptcy. Another company that got a loan called Li-Cycle, L-I, then Cycle, they have also filed for protection from creditors. I don't know if it's officially a bankruptcy.
And you say they just got their loan in November. How do you go out of business after a $440 million loan in November?
Well, the Sonova one, I think, was in January.
The Sonova one was January. Li-Cycle was November. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So they're blowing through this money, going out of business just fast as they possibly can. And what happens to that money? No one cares. No one follows up. There's no paperwork on it. It is just absolute, just plain as day theft. James Varney, I wouldn't know about this if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much for being on the James Show.
Thanks for having me, James.
All right, go check out this article, realclearinvestigations.com. His name is James Varney. Friends call him Jim, but he's written online as James Varney. It's good stuff about what's going on with your tax dollars. And if you're wondering why your groceries are going up too fast, this is a big reason why. We can't stop spending, can we? I am just floored. I'm floored that so many people who call themselves conservative, so many people that say they're for limited government, they want a smaller government, can go support this bill. I do have a lot of people who are saying, I support this bill, but I hate the spending increases. It drives me nuts. We should do better. But there are people out there, the guy I was just responding to, Bob, who actually Nice guy on most days, sends me email from time to time. He says, you would have voted for the largest tax increase in history. That's not much of a libertarian. I guess you think being a shock jock helps your ratings. You should really read the bill. It does cut spending, but cuts taxes more. No, I would not have voted for the largest tax increase in history. I understand that at the end of the year, the way the tax laws are written, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will sunset from 2017 and all our tax rates will go up, and this would have extended them. But that's not me affirmatively voting for an increase in taxes. Go ahead, split the taxes off into its own bill. You think I'd support that? Of course I would. And I've admitted that I like the tax increase part. There's a few other things I like in there too. But I put my foot down because it grows government. And yeah, that is libertarian. Thank you very much. And no, being a shock jock helping my ratings, this is not helping my ratings. If I wanted to just say the things that would help my ratings, I would come out here and I would shine Trump all day. I wouldn't be turning off people like you, Bob, or risking turning off people like you, Bob, by saying things that I know are going to be unpopular. This isn't a shock jock thing. If this sounds shocking, maybe you're just not used to people being honest or being credible. But yeah, this shouldn't shock anybody that a person on a conservative talk station wants a smaller government. That's the least shocking thing I could possibly, or should be the least shocking thing I could possibly say. The shocking thing for me is 49 out of 50 senators that call themselves Republican just voted for a bigger government, bigger deficits, bigger debt, a $5 trillion increase in the debt ceiling. This is Vic in Dallas. You're on WBAP. Go.
Hi, James. Thanks for your perspectives. So let me pick up. You said it'll add about $5 trillion. So today, the GDP is $27 trillion, right? But if you look at the bill very carefully, and I'm a small business owner, the benefits of the tax cuts, the increased wages, the tax relief for seniors, the job creation, standard deduction, all of those will have significant benefits. And the biggest issue is if these tax cuts were not extended, it would have a catastrophe, on the economy in terms of a small business person. So I do understand the concerns of the higher, larger government, but I do want to say this. The president and President Trump does have enormous amount of powers to reduce costs as we go forward. So even after we pass the bill, it's not necessary that we'll keep spending more. So what are your thoughts on that, James?
Why didn't he do that from January till now? If he has this magic rescission power that none of us have ever seen be exercised in our entire life, and he could have been doing it for the last 6 months, why didn't he?
Good question. I mean, DOJ was a good start, right, to begin with. And then he's been dabbling with so many other things like, border security, immigration, and those things. But I think if he's making a commitment, as I heard him a couple of days ago, that irrespective of the bill, the agenda to continue to reduce cost will continue. I think that's positive. But as a small business guy, I kind of get excited about the bill being a conservative.
Yeah, but you realize how much we would have to cut? We would have to cut 40% of the government through these rescission packages. So I've never seen it happen before in my life, so I have, a pretty reasonable expectation that it's not going to magically happen this time. So I couple that in the context of every time we get to one of these forks in the road, whether it's, the fiscal cliff or there's another government shutdown or a continuing resolution or whatever, I'm always told, well, we just have to pass this now and we'll get to the cuts in the future. And it never happens, Vic. That's why I think the best metaphor I've come up with that probably sticks is if your wife told you, not tonight, we'll do it tomorrow, for 30 years, you wouldn't believe her anymore.
James, you're funny. Well, I'll leave you with this, James. At the end of the day, I do appreciate your point about $5 trillion, but $5 trillion over 10 years for a $27 trillion economy, we have to look at the delta between what we anyway would have spent and $5 trillion. And my rough math tells me that's about a couple of trillion. And I think we can cover up by, the government continuing for 3 years and cutting costs. So that's the macro picture that I want to share with you, James. But I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, you're saying, we can run up that much debt and still stomach it. All right, fine. I'm not fine with it. I'd say we need to stop this. One day, this is going to collapse on a long enough time scale. The United States is not going to be the first infinite country. And thank you for your call, Vic. It's not going to be the first infinite country. I just want you to think when you've seen a superpower collapse in your life. It was the Soviet Union, right? You remember that? They were a co-equal superpower. And everything from Red Dawn to Rocky IV, to the Cold War. And they just collapsed. And it seemed like something that happened almost overnight. And if someone, came out a year or two before they collapsed and they said, yeah, the Soviet Union's about to collapse, they'd have been laughed out of the room. What do you mean, this co-equal superpower? You have no idea what you're talking about. They're not going to collapse just like that. You mean these people that have a space program and intercontinental ballistic missiles and all this, they're just going to collapse? Well, they did. We're not immune from the same thing that has taken down almost every empire. And I say almost every empire because most empires implode from an economic collapse, and then there's some sort of military defeat after that. Every once in a while, there will be someone that just outgrew you next door and they militarily defeated you. But most empires collapse first by screwing up their economy, by doing this, by spending too much money, more than they take in, getting off the gold standard, inflating their currency, grinding their economy to a halt. And it's intergenerational theft. You have to resist the incentive to use government to take money from other people and spend it on you. But for all you people that are concerned about, well, they're going to take away my Social Security, or they're going to take away my Medicare, they're going to take away my Medicaid, I got an ugly truth for you. Good. You don't deserve that money. It's a failed experiment. And look, you're like, well, it hasn't failed. Okay, Social Security is going to fail in 7 years. Do you want to wait until we go off the cliff before you hit the brakes? Because then it's too late. No one's going to listen to me. It's too easy to act like this problem doesn't exist. Hey, just take off more debt. My kids and grandkids will be stuck with that, not me. I don't think that's very moral. And when this generation is looked at through the eyes of history by future generations, we're not going to look very good. We're going to take a country that was handed off to us by our grandparents and their parents, that was stable. It was the most powerful country in the world. And then we took trillions of dollars of the Social Security Trust Fund. We spent it on ourselves. We took incoming contributions and we spent it on ourselves. Then we took our contributions and we spent it on ourselves. And then we're going to leave the next generation with 40 trillion something in debt, no entitlements, no social safety net, no money, nothing but bills and a broken economy. And they're not going to look very kindly on us, because what we're doing right now, it's nice and it helps, but it's greedy and it's immoral. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Yeah, the big, beautiful bill passed. Donald Trump's going to sign it at 4 o'clock tomorrow. 4 o'clock-ish. They told us 4 o'clock. I bet you it'll be after 4 o'clock because they're always late. But I can't hate the two-party system any harder than on a day like today, where Democrats, you're so far off the rocker. I mean, I can't believe you as a party even exist. You're one of the worst human rights record of pretty much any organization in human history, except for like Genghis Khan. Think about it. The party of Jim Crow, slavery, Trail of Tears, internment camps during World War II, the KKK, segregation, making people poo in a different bathroom based on the color of their skin. Y'all are messed up people. Y'all have terrible burning crosses, all that. Now you look around anytime there's a riot or a Foot Locker set on fire, we know it was your team. So no, not you guys who are socialists and don't even know it half the time. You guys are just beyond the pale. But the Republicans are supposed to be the counterbalance to that. Yeah, they want big government to be so powerful they control every aspect of your life, from your health care down to your paper straw. You're supposed to be the counterbalance to that, and you don't want to stop growing government ever. Oh, yeah, we got all these Doge cuts. Really? Because they're griping about entitlements being cut. Entitlements being cut? No. Entitlements need to be gone. When I say I want entitlements cut, I mean I don't want any more entitlements. I don't mean I want to trim 10% off of the edges. So I don't have a party. I can't support either one of these parties that for my entire life, for your entire life, grow government every turn. Good economy, government grows. Bad economy, government grows. We're in wartime, government grows. We're in peacetime, government grows. Doesn't matter. You've lost me. AOC on the steps of the Capitol just about an hour ago. Not too happy about the big, beautiful bill passing for the exact opposite reason I have.
It's one of the saddest days in modern American history.
Stop. This is one of the saddest days in modern American history, really. It's just like 9/11, saddest day in... Stop it.
It's one of the saddest days in modern American history. This is the largest... withdrawal and ending of health care in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their healthcare costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick. Honestly,
people are going to stub their toe on the coffee table. People are going to fart in elevators. People are going to get it stuck in traffic. People are going to they thought it was a fart and it turned out to be something more. It's just going to be terrible, y'all. Everything in the book they're going to throw at you. 17 million. Does that sound like a lot of people who are going to lose benefits through the social programs just at the federal level? Does that sound like a lot? How many people do you think are on some federal government assistance program right now? We're in a nation of about 340 million people. You would think, well, we already have like a social safety net for the people who fall through the cracks and, can't take care of themselves. Most of us can take care of ourselves. We're sentient adults capable of trading our labor for wages, if not starting our own business. How many do you think are on some sort of government assistance? How many people are you paying for with your taxes is the better number? You got to think, well, the indigent, what is it, 5% of us? So 1 out of 20? Well, that wouldn't be too bad, because 5% of us, that'd be about what, 16 million, 17 million? Oh, so 5% of us are going to lose our coverage. That's what it is? Yeah, but there's 100 million people on government assistance programs right now. Almost a third of the country. You don't think that's too much? You don't think 17 out of 100 million people could lose their benefits and be just fine? And you're not taking away their health care. You're giving them their own bill. Look, if you went to lunch today and you went to Chili's and I paid for your food, okay, I could see how you would say, James provided you with food. But if you went today and you got your own bill and I didn't pay for it and you had to pay for it yourself, did I take your food away from you? No. So it's just incredibly dishonest language. When they're saying healthcare, they mean healthcare coverage or healthcare assistance or healthcare subsidy or stipend or program or something. But no one's taking away anyone's healthcare. They might just have to pay for it themselves, or if they're going to get help from their fellow man, it would be through private voluntary donations. What a shock. Chris in Fort Worth, you're going to be the last word on this. Go. On WBAP, go.
Hey, James, I agree with everything you're saying, and I love what you're saying because it's right. And you need to take the adoption that I have. I hate them all.
Oh, I've been there.
They're all a bunch of liars. They don't cover for us. They cover for themselves. And if we get anything, that's just a side benefit. That's all it is. But I would want to say one thing. Unless I misunderstood you, did you say we don't deserve what we get in Social Security and Medicare? We don't deserve it? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So you're going to say I paid in that through all the years, and so it's my money, and I'm just getting it back.
I've got to say that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I understand why you feel that way because, look, whenever you have a Ponzi scheme, the last people to make the withdrawals, those are the people who got off like bandits. The first people that get cut off are the ones who feel like they're screwed. But there's people that are coming up after you, and none of us are going to be made whole after about 7 years. And I'm not taking away your benefit. You already took away your benefit. You already took the money your parents saved, spent it on yourself. Your contribution, spent it on yourself. And then contributions from people who are working now and spend it on yourself. If the math isn't still working out, it's got to end. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show. Maybe we'll talk about that more tomorrow. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.